Hello everyone, good evening to all. I am Dr. Vaishali Thakre and I work as a cloud security associate at CloudThat, and my keen interest into identity and access management, and since few years I'm working on Azure Active Directory. So hence I'm taking this webinar for you all, and yes, talking about my certifications. So I am more working into Azure security. Azure Active Directory is my most interesting, and it's my more likely area which I love more and which I keep exploring and good at. So hence I'm certified. I started my journey with the fundamental level certifications in Azure, that is SC 900 we call it as. And then I started exploring about identity and access, and hence got certified into identity and access administrator, then information protection administrator, which is SC 400, then SC 200, which is generally for security operations. And then also I have explored in infrastructure security, which is Azure Security Engineer. I'm a Microsoft certified trainer, and I deliver a lot of corporate trainings on behalf of Microsoft and for my company. During my leisure hours, I loved taking trainings, taking these kind of sessions, and hence I'm here today to give you as much as possible from my end. And yes, my interest into AWS also, but not much certified into AWS certifications. I do have a fundamental certifications on AWS, but yes, if you're gonna ask me the comparison and any service which is with respect to the identity and access from the AWS as well, I would love to help you in that way. So that's a quick about me. Now, without wasting further time, let's quickly jump into our today's session. What we will be covering, the agenda is identity. Basically, why do we have to secure our identity? Because identity is a security perimeter nowadays, and that we are going to talk about it. And then we will be moving towards why Azure AD we should select. So AD refers to Active Directory, so it is a completely Azure Active Directory. So, or you can call it as AAD, you can call it as Azure AD. And then we will try creating some identities into your Azure portal, and then see how do we assign roles and permissions to it, and then what are those different because I have given the title it as create and secure your identities with Azure AD. So definitely I'll be exploring or giving you a kind of uh, uh, overview about certain services in Azure AD, or you can say features of Azure AD, which we can explore and use to secure your identities which you have created into Azure Active Directory. So that will be our main focus today. And if time permits, then I would love to guide you on the certification areas. Depends on the time which we'll be having, right? So let's quickly jump into our actual discussion. So talking about Azure Active Directory, if I talk in the some kind of terminologies or some kind of theoretical definitions, if I talk, then it's the, in a simple line or in a simple words to make you guys understand, it's the cloud-based identity and access management service. It's, I have drawn her. So let's take Vaishali. Okay. So she is joining some ABC company, and as soon as she joins ABC company, so this Vaishali's username or identity of this user has to be created in this ABC company, so that ABC company, whatever resources of ABC company are available, that she will be able to access within the organization. Scenario we have with Azure Active Directory also, which is a cloud based Active Directory. And here also what we will be doing is we will be creating users. Okay, users has been identities, managing those identities, managing as well, managing their access and securing their identities. The transition from your on-premise to cloud is making it should be smooth and it should be easy for the organization, so that they will adopt for which particular service provider they want to go and which is giving you the better security. That will be the main aspect. So security is inversely proportional to cost. This is the current relation security and cost you are having. After all, it's a cloud, folks, because the cloud is called as a semi-trusted third party. Why do we have to secure? Why to secure your identities? Because identity is a security perimeter, and hence we need to first think about securing our identities. Now, um, all right, so here I am at portal.azure.com. You can, simply Google it. How do you create an account into portal if you are new to Azure portal? And once you get a free account, it's pretty simple. You don't have to provide even any credit card details like how we do in the AWS. So I guess nowadays we don't have to give any details in the AWS as well. It's pretty simple. They have made to create your free account and start practicing with those free accounts. So there might be few services which are limited to your free account, but you can definitely get started with that. So our job is to access Azure Active Directory. If I search here in the search bar Azure Active Directory, then I have navigated to Azure Active Directory. So yeah, my directory, I'll give it as webinar, and so that we'll be able to identify that this is our directory. Now, if I go to overview, I will be able to see, so this name will change in some time. I have just now renamed it as webinar, and here also it should reflect as webinar in some time. So here you will be able to see that this is my tenant ID, and whatever we will be able to do in your on-prem Active Directory, right? More than that you will be able to do here, and things are really pretty much simpler uh, um, while working with the on-prem Active Directory. While working with your Azure Active Directory. So here you can see that what license currently I'm holding. It's a Azure AD free. What are the number of users I'm having into my this Azure Active Directory, how many groups I have, how many applications which are registered into my directory, how many devices which are registered into Active Directory, and so on. Okay, now to get started with creating the users in the Azure Active Directory, you can see there is a manage section provided over here when we log into Azure Active Directory. You can see that we have very next to that users. So I'm clicking on users, and I will be able to get the list of users which we were able to see in the overview section. Let's first understand creating new user. If I click in here, now here you can see that I can provide a name. Let me name it as webinar, just to understand, and identify webinar. First name is webinar, and first name is again webinar. I'll give it as, and I'll give the last name as today. Okay, either you can auto generate the password and or create the password, whatever you want, you can choose that. Now while creating the identity itself, you can join those, add those users into some kind of group. We do have only two types of group in the Azure. One is your security group and another is your Microsoft 365 group. So let me create. Then rest of the details like usage location, you can provide whatever the usage locations which you want to give, and then the department manager of the user, all that you can provide. Now if I refresh, I have created, and I can see in this notification that successfully the user has been created. Now let's search that webinar user is listed here or not. It is created. Here you can see that webinar at MSDX, that was the domain name, whatever the domain name is provided by this directory that been assigned to it. You can see that August 2022 7:40 p.m. as per my timing, it is 7:40 p.m. and it's the user has been created and user type is member because I have created this user into my Azure Active Directory. Rest of the details like applications, assigned role, everything, assigned license, everything is 0 because I haven't added anything while creating that user. Now I want to assign any role to this user, right? Now, to assign any role to the user, first we'll have to understand what kind of roles are available in Azure Active Directory. So if you see the fourth option here under manage section, you have roles and administrator. If you click in here, you'll be finding the list of roles which are available, the built-in roles which are available in Azure Active Directory, which means provided by Microsoft. So if I scroll down here, I can see um, application admin role, application developer, attack payload author, and so on, authentication admin, cloud app security admin, and so on. Okay, there are lots of roles which are available. And what this, let's say if I want to talk about the application admin, right? So what this role can do, it can create and manage all the aspects of app registration and enterprise application. Now if I want to see, and this you can see that in front of that it is written at, it's a built-in role. These are all the permissions which we will be assigning to that XYZ user which you want to assign application admin as. Okay, now there might be a question, what if you don't want all of these permissions to be assigned to that user, but you want to add only few of these permissions? Okay, with these few of these permissions I can look for any other role, any other built-in role, right, in the my built-in role list, or and there might not be complete 100% match in the roles which are available. So what you can do is you can go ahead and hit on this plus symbol, create a new custom role, this one. Okay, now you can go to users which you have created. Now here you can go to the assigned roles, click in here, you can add the assignments. Okay, so this add assignment option will be enabled for us, and from here you can choose whatever. Now those are same roles which we were able to see there, right? That list, the same roles will be available here. You can choose, let's say you want to assign application admin role to this user, you can select that, go ahead, next, assign. The user webinar will be added with application admin role permissions. Now let me quickly talk about securing your identity. You do have something called as bulk operations here. Okay, so click into this bulk operations and you have an option called as bulk create. Okay, so let's say you want to create 100 users at once, so you click on bulk create. Okay, the Azure will give you some kind of CSV template, download this, add the details to it, all those 100 users detail, their name, their email IDs, and whatever you want to mention. Save that file and upload that file here. I might not be having any file right now, and click on submit. So those 100 users identity will be created. If we talk about the securing identity, so I will directly go to the licenses, and from there I can just give you an idea what are the different features of Azure Active Directory which will help you to protect your identities. So here you can see that I have under this manage section only, I have this licenses option. Okay, now I want to check what license features I'm having currently with the Azure AD free. So these are the features which you can see, this list is Azure Active Directory feature, and which will help you protect your identities. Identity protection is a very beautiful and very secure solution which is by Microsoft. It requires your Azure AD P2 license, and it is included with your Azure's AI ML techniques they have used here. You do have then another solution called as Microsoft 365 Defender, under which you have one solution called as Microsoft Defender for Identity, that will also give you a protection from different kind of threats. A defender, which means you will be able to protect your identities from the various kind of attack which happens around your cyber kill chain. Thank you folks for joining me today, and see you again in or meet you again in some other session. Hope that you have got some takeaway from this particular from this webinar, and hope to see you next time. Thank you, everyone.